When you feel like shit and nothing makes sense. Part 2. In the previous part, we talked about how the real reason you feel like shit is because you assign meaning to an outer world when it has none. And we're not just talking about the so-called materialistic or spiritual people. Even spiritual people suffer from the same disease. And you can look at this in your own life. You might spend 5, 10, 30, 40, 1 hour, whatever, how many minutes meditating. But when you get up, do you carry that meditation into your outer life? Many people are extremely spiritual on the yoga mat, or when they are sitting on their meditation cushion chanting Om Shanti Shanti Om. But as soon as they go back to the real world, they turn unconscious. And look at it in your own life. Are you spiritual in your day-to-day life? Are you spiritual at work? Are you spiritual when stuck in a long, boring 3-hour meeting? Are you spiritual when eating? Are you spiritual with your money? Money is an important factor in our lives. Many people believe, especially the so-called spiritual ones, that money is evil, that it tempts them to the dark side, that they are better off without money. This is a programming that is very hard to break. We have been taught for thousands of years, money is evil, money is evil. And when spiritual people finally get some money, they don't treat it with respect. And so money doesn't treat them with respect. If you look at many spiritual writers, even those who had bestsellers, and I know of at least 2 women who were on the bestsellers, New York Times bestseller list, and made hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions. Both of them separately had their money stolen from them. And in both cases, both the women accepted that they had thought money was evil, so they hadn't made any effort to try to monitor it. They let other people handle their money, thinking money was dirty, money was unspiritual. The reason I bring up money is because it is one of those things that makes many people unconscious. Even the most spiritual people, when it comes to money, they lose their center. It's either, oh, money is evil, I can't touch it, no. Or, like in my case, more, baby, more. It's these two extremes. money makes people unconscious. The other thing that makes people unconscious is their parents. Like Swami Ramdas used to say, if you think you're so spiritual, try to spend a few weeks with your parents and then tell me what you think. So that's the problem. The point I'm trying to make is that even spiritual people, so-called people, spiritual people who might have spent 10 years meditating, even they are stuck in the world of form. They are stuck giving meaning to an outer world of form that has none. And all your gurus and all your religions, they have trained you to focus on the forms of the outer world. Money is good, money is bad. God is good, God is bad. God is kind, God punishes the evil. God is a bearded old man who lives in the sky. Or God is some prophet or some person who was born thousands of years ago. We love to give form to everything, even that which cannot have form. And that's fine, there's nothing wrong with forms. There's nothing wrong with money. There is nothing wrong with beauty in the outer world. Not just natural beauty, greenery, trees, skies, but also man-made beauty, like beautiful buildings, beautiful paintings. Beautiful books, beautiful food, beautiful people who spend hours in the gym trying to get their bum to look just perfect. Not me, but I'm sure, there are people. There's nothing wrong with that. That's another thing that spiritual people, so-called spiritual people, and I'm guilty of this as well, we neglect the body, thinking the body is evil, like money, that it holds us down. And look at yourself. Even if I used to, I had read hundreds of books that the body is divine, the body is good, the body is, you should not treat the body with disrespect. And in spite of all that, I still treated the body like shit. Because at a deep subconscious level, I thought that this body was the one holding me back from spirituality. When in fact, the body had been and has been for all of us our truest friend in spirituality. Because unlike the mind, which likes to play its own games and can take either side of a coin, the body always tells the truth. If you're ever conflicted about anything, a job offer, a love relationship, or anything, don't ask your mind, because your mind will give you a million options and get stuck analyzing them all. The body will tell you the truth. Just put your attention in your gut and it'll tell you what your inner being really wants. Once you become spiritually advanced, you can ask your inner being or your heart directly. But until you can do that, the body or the gut is a good alternative. The problem is that coming back to our original topic of why we feel like shit, is that we have several mental blocks or mental ideas about how the outer world should be. But here's the thing. The outer world is as it is. And there isn't a lot we can do about it. If it's raining, it's raining. If it's sunny, it is sunny. If you lose your job, you lose your job. If your wife leaves you, your wife leaves you. That's the thing about the outer world. It just is. I've said previously that our inner self brings situations to us that help us awaken. I think it was Eckhart Tolle who said it, that the universe is an awakening machine. It'll always put us in situations where we can awake. We'll face problems, hurdles, blockages. Our dreams will go unfulfilled. Other less deserving people will get what we wanted. And nothing will go our way. And at such times, it's easy to blame the government, other people, society, or even God. But it's not God that's doing it to us. It's we who are doing it to ourselves. By not listening to the message that our inner self is giving us. How do you know that the message you're getting is coming from your inner self, not from your ego? Well, one of the simplest tests is that if you listen to that message, your suffering decreases. Your external problems won't go away. They might go away eventually. But once you start listening to the inner self, you no longer feel suffering. Suffering itself is a sign that you have lost touch with what is important. And hint, it doesn't lie outside of you. Suffering is the inner teacher's way of telling us that we are on the wrong path, that we need to have a rethink, that we need to stop doing what we're doing and reconsider life. But we don't want to learn this lesson. We want to learn other lessons. We want to learn the lessons we read in a book. We want to go into a samadhi, a state of trance, and become one with the universe. Again, that's what I said, didn't I? We have some mental ideas about what enlightenment is. Enlightenment, or nirvana, or moksha, whatever you call it, heaven, has nothing to do with reaching an altered state of mind or going someplace where you need to die. It is a simple state of joy, a state devoid of suffering, available to you now and here, right now, right here, this very second. But the mind refuses to accept that. How can anything so important and so powerful. Be so easy. Obviously it can't, so it must be a lie. And so we run after either bigger cars, sexier wives, or sexier husbands. Or if we are so-called spiritual people, after sexier gurus who can help us reach some weird trance-like state where we lose awareness of the body and fall into a stupid state. The point I'm trying to make is, whether you're a materialist or whether you're a spiritualist, you've been swallowing the same lies. And like it wasn't Einstein who said it, though he's often credited with it. It was somebody else before him who said that the ultimate stupidity is to keep doing the same thing but expecting different results. We keep doing the same thing, running after stuff in the outer world, or running after stuff in the spiritual world, or what we think is the spiritual world, to enter a trance state, to get enlightenment, to leave this body and enter some heaven, or enter some nirvana, or enter some moksha. All the advice you're given is to run away from the now. The world of form, as I said, is without meaning. But most people think the world of form means bigger cars and bigger houses. But having a mental idea of what enlightenment is also running after forms. You're running after a mental idea, a mental form of what you think a spiritual person should be or should do. You've been told that spiritual people wear orange robes or live in the Himalayas or don't eat a particular kind of food or shave their heads or always speak in riddles. Or need to only work in certain jobs or live a certain type of lifestyle. You, for example, would not accept a t-shirt and jean wearing guru who drives a big BMW and wears a fedora hat and a t-shirt that says, "I'm number one." Because your idea of a spiritual person is something completely different. You have ideas in your head about how the universe should be. Whether it's a material universe, which is for spiritual people bad, or whether it's a spiritual world, universe, which is supposed to be in a certain way, follow a certain pattern, and behave in a certain way. And all our suffering comes from the fact that this stupid universe just damn won't follow the rules we want it to. Why won't you? I'm so spiritual. I spent 1 hour meditating for the last 10 years. Why can't I get enlightenment? There is no God. It's all fake. Meanwhile, the universe is as it is. As I've said before, forms are beautiful as long as you accept that they won't last, that they're not the ultimate truth, that they're here to come and go. Enjoy them when they're here, and don't cry when they leave. Ultimate joy can only be found in something that is beyond form. And how do we find that? As many people wiser than me have said, the universe at its core is very simple. We have made it far more complex than it needs to be, which means that we have made our own lives difficult. Why is the universe simple? This is one of those things I cannot explain to you, but which you must realize for yourself. Our brain has the habit of overcomplicating everything, of overthinking everything, of trying to analyze and cut where no analysis is required. And I've said this before, but the mind can take the simplest of situations and overcomplicate it so much till it becomes unbearable. Many of the problems that we face, while yes, they are stressful, are not ultimately overwhelming. You can survive every single situation, and indeed every year millions of people in third world countries living in complete poverty, surviving on a few dollars a day, they make it through their life, and they do so with happiness. When many Westerners first go to places like India and they see the poverty there, every single one says the same thing. I've heard this line 1,000,000 times. The line is, "Oh, the people are so poor but so happy." The assumption is that unless you're driving an SUV to Tesco's to buy a pack of tomatoes, so you can come and eat those tomatoes in your air-conditioned house, you cannot be happy. But happiness has nothing to do with your external situation or your external circumstances. Happiness is an internal thing. Well, that's technically not true. There's happiness and then there's joy. Happiness is what we feel when our wishes are fulfilled. It needs an external something to make us happy. Joy is what we feel when we touch our inner being, our core, our spirit. Joy has no source. You could be sitting on the park feeling joyful. You could be walking on the road feeling joyful. You could lose everything, your house, your money, your family, and still be joyful. Because joy does not depend on the outer world. It does not depend on anything outside of you. Our problem is that we run after happiness. But happiness is the opposite of sadness. They must almost come in pairs. And if you run after the world of form, the outer world, you are bound by the laws of the world to get both happiness and sadness. But I've talked enough about theory. What is the practical way? How does one escape this trap of being stuck in the world of form? How do you find peace, find joy, as it were? I'm calling this podcast the path to joy, not the path to peace. Because peace can be sterile, it can be empty, it can be boring, it can be depressing. But joy can't. Peace without joy leads to sadness, or at least leads to emptiness. You need joy with peace for your life to make sense. So how do we do that? How do we reach the inner self? How do we touch the being? How do we move beyond suffering? I'm sorry to say, but that's a topic for another day. We're going to continue this discussion in the next session. Thank you for listening. Goodbye. And before we go, how did I forget? Deep breath. Hold. Let it out. Again. Hold. In. Hold. Out. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for listening. If you want a free course on how to contact your inner teacher, your own spiritual guide, the part of the divine who lives inside of you and is guiding your spiritual progress, then please go to my website, thepathtojoy.org. That is thepathtojoy.org. Thank you.